Awesome.
God, I love those words.
We're getting the hang of it. It's getting better every time. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Larry first, second.
Second.
Was that Bonnie?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, now we move on to public comment. Is there anyone who would like to comment? Okay, seeing no one. I would like to now, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Larry first.
Second.
Amanda, second. We are moving on to item 5, information items, discussion on bond measure.
Were you guys able to vote? Because I didn't hear an all in favor. So were you guys able to vote on that one?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Why don't we call vote?
Okay.
Just call the vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Got Amanda.
Aye.
I got Ashley.
Sorry. Aye.
I got Bonnie. And I say aye, all 5. I am not, let me see here. It is not letting me vote.
Okay, we'll work on that.
Oh, we got a vote thing on now?
Well,
We do, but that's okay. We can work on it. It's a new feature.
Okay. I'm just not seeing anywhere to push a thing to vote for it, or?
I'm seeing the agenda from the Unified School District page.
Yeah. Do you see a vote thing on there? I don't see one.
Give me a location.
You have to click on the consent calendar on the item. If you click on consent calendar,
Yeah.
and then you go to minutes, and do you see minutes?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
and then
I'm there.
now you click
Yeah.
on upload votes or record votes. Do you see? You don't have that?
I don't have that.
Okay.
Huh?
I don't see minutes. I don't see minutes.
Yeah, don't you guys? We'll get this. It just came out, so we've been practicing. So we'll have
you guys
before
because
the next board meeting. Nana can set up a time and do a little training with you guys to make sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've got time for the next one. I wouldn't worry
Okay.
about it.
Awesome. So that
Does
was
that sound
all.
good, Nana? Yeah, it's all practice. We're all in this practicing.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll sit down with you
Okay.
guys.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So moving on to item 5, information item, discussion on bond measure.
Okay, so as you guys know, last month or a couple weeks ago, we had a special presentation on the survey results that were done based on the potential of passing a bond here. So I know we had a little bit of talk, but I know we didn't really have a large discussion because we had such a full agenda that I was not clear with the direction. I want to make sure I provided an opportunity that you guys had a chance to really talk about things to consider if we were to go for an upcoming bond in November, or if it's something we don't want to consider. I just want to provide an opportunity that we could have that discussion. And then I think you're having to read me because I think, no, I'm there. I'm not muted. Sorry. I thought I was muted there for a second. I want to provide an opportunity for everyone to have a discussion if we need to get more information, or just to make sure I know what direction, clearly what direction the board would like us to go in.
Okay. Anyone have any comments? I thought the meeting, the information that she gave us was very thorough, and I thought it had some positive information in it, but at the same time, it's, it's a roll of the dice, really, because it's with that points of error, it could be either way, and I don't not sure what the amount of money is that we would be investing if we went for it.
And that's a great question. We did ask to get an estimate. And basically, I think in the estimate, because it would be going alongside another election, we're kind of part of that election. So it's not a separate election.
Right.
They estimated the cost at 10,000 to do that, to actually do the election.
Right. And then is there a cost to us on the to be on the ballot?
That would be the cost, I believe. That's what, when I say that 10,000, I believe that is the cost. That was the best estimate they could give us at the time.
Okay. And then what would be the cost? And then the company, would the company continue to be with us, or would we be going at this on our own?
I would recommend to stay with the company. So I know there is an additional cost for that. And Becky, I'm going to let you jump in because I cannot remember for the life of me, what that cost was to do like the community meetings and things.
It's an hourly cost, and I don't remember exactly what it is. Christy and I were thought that if we wanted to do that, we could do it in September maybe, so we can still talk about that later. We just need to
Okay.
decide this to have it on the June, to meet the June county deadline.
Okay. But it's not, I mean, we're not talking about, $100,000 or something like that for this company, right? I mean, ballpark.
I don't think it's that much. If I want to say 30,000, but they've also been providing services. So that 30,000, I would say would be like from the entire, from when we started through the end, if that makes sense. So that's not in addition. I think that would be part of it. That's about what I remember. And I apologize. I should have looked at those numbers.
Right. No, that's okay. I just, I'm just trying to.
No, you're asked. That's why we want to have this discussion.
Yeah.
Overall, by the time it's all said and done, because we already paid what 12,000 for the survey, because overall by the time it's all said and done, you're looking at a $60,000 to $70,000 cost. But we have already paid the 12, which is good. You don't want to, without that information, it's foolish to even go forward.
Right.
And that's why we wanted to hear from you guys. We've got a lot of things to consider, not only the results, what's going on with the current climate, what's going on with the current circumstances. We do know we've received the preschool grant for sure. So we believe we'll hear from CTE grants soon. So some of this is we have to have matches to those grants. And even though, our goal is to seek like Yochadihi and other things, this has been a cost for everyone that we don't want to lose the opportunities we have at hand also. So
Right.
We're being honest. We're trying to put everything out there on the table.
I'd like to hear from you guys. What do you think?
Okay, so my question is, if we don't go forward with this bond, then we're not going to have the matching funds to go forward with the preschool grant or the CTE grants. How does that work?
Becky, do you want to speak to that, or do you want me to?
You can start.
Okay, from what I know right now are given, we believe we could do, because the preschool grant was a much lower match, only a 30%. So we believe we have that match covered. I have been working with the tribe for the last several weeks, letting them know this is what we have going on. They're presenting information. When I say working with the tribe, working with Christine, she's been presenting information on our behalf because I told her about the 3 CTE grants, and we really believe that we're going to know in the next week or two, and we believe we will receive the funding. The hard part is if we don't have the match on those or they can't do all 3, they might only be able to do 1, then we will have to turn away CTE grants. The other couple of, and their match is 50%, which is why I say that. And it's a much bigger most of those projects are much larger in scope and scale. So just, again, I want to make sure I'm clear. Does that make sense? Or Becky, did I miss anything on that?
No, that sounded good. I know that when Anthony was here, he made a point of asking us what we were going to do on our own behalf. And he just kind of felt like he wanted to make sure that we were going to do our part in, whether it was a bond or we didn't say specifics, but to get it out there in the community and try to push things. And none of those grants really take care of our middle school issues either, which will be, those need to be solved in the next couple of years at least.
Okay, yeah, I just want to be sure that we're not,
Go ahead,
I don't
Megan.
want to lose anything because I am reluctant to go forward during these times that we're in right now. But if we're going to actually lose opportunities, then that kind of changes things for me.
Thank you, Bonnie. Larry, go ahead.
Okay. A lot of the costs you're referring to, when we rebuilt the east side of Esparto, a lot of our costs to process were allowed into what we borrowed. And you need to check to make sure that if we can do that or not, because our initial costs we should be able to recoup the initial costs. I'm with everybody else as far as timing, because this is going to hit us at a very, very uncertain time. And it depends upon what we do financially in the next 6 months as to whether or not we're going to have that bond measure pass or not. If there's no money out there, there's not going to be any money out there, and we're going to be where. So those are two things to look at. As far as the bond goes, my major thing is that we cover everything we need and look into the future also to try to cover some of those costs. If we can do that, we can save ourselves money now and in the future. It'll be cheaper now to build than it is in the future. I don't know. It's going to be a tough one. That's all.
Okay, Ashley, do you have anything to add?
Nothing really more to add. I agree with the concerns for the timing of it, as well as just feedback that I've already heard because of past history.
Yeah. Okay, Amanda, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I agree. I just think it's like a 50-50 chance, like you said, the roll of the dice. I would hate for us to lose out on a bunch of money and spend money and then it not work out, but it's kind of one of those chances you take. So just a lot of heavy thought on this. I don't know.
I agree.
I say, and
Go ahead.
we don't have to have an answer tonight. I just really wanted you guys to have a chance to talk about it. We really will need an answer at the next board meeting, but I didn't want to have a heavy discussion on top of all the presentation, all the other things we do. I thought it would be more appropriate to give you guys a chance to ask questions. If there's more information we could provide, we could definitely provide it to the entire board. Like, I'll make sure I get all the costs out. Becky and I will get the cost out to you guys so you can see that specifically, what we would actually be looking at and what it would be doing, what the money would go towards. I think you guys are using wisdom. Timing is everything. And Bonnie, to answer your question, would we be losing money? I think there's a chance we will be, because Yochadihi has been amazing, but they've been closed for the last several weeks too. And so to all, I know that they will give us what they can. I really do believe that. But I also know that it's part of it is showing what is the community willing to do. And I hear you, Ashley. I know there's past history, but at some point we've got to start looking at the future, because our buildings resemble the past. All right, Larry, I see your hand up.
Teacher. Since we are in a time of national emergency, and there is going to be, I'm sure there's, and I know there's going to be money available for education sometime in the future, is it possible for us to look into easing of what we have to do on these by the emergency orders they have, or is there something in there that we can latch on to our advantage?
Not that I've seen so far, but we are scouring it. As you can imagine, anything that's coming our way, we're applying for. I can tell you that just with the food, knowing that we're all prepping and doing all the food that we're doing, we've been applying for every grant that has to do with that, every waiver. So anything that's coming down nationally or through the state, we're definitely applying for, and we would do the same. No matter what kind of grant we're talking about, we would be doing the same thing as we did this year. Constantly looking to see what dollars are out there and how we can capitalize on that money.
That's why
Okay.
we're working with a lot of people that we're working with, like Lori and George, and we're all set up with the state, so we're ready and waiting in line for any of that money as it comes available. And we'll, because there's always going to be more need, and so we are going to keep an eye on it.
Okay. Wow. It's a lot to think about. I mean, even you're just mentioning of like town hall meetings in September. I'm thinking, are we going to be able to have town hall meetings in September? I mean, I think that's just an unknown at this point, but I do believe that if the community is educated on what it is we need, they will step up. And so my question is really just if we can't get people to come to a central meeting, we need to find an alternative way to get information to them if we do decide to go ahead with this. And so
absolutely. I think even if we do or don't do town hall meetings, we have to put a very public, very positive face on this, because the one thing that was clear to me with the survey, when that happened and people just really heard what was going on, they moved forward. And I think, yes, there's going to be some people with the negative. I don't care what community you're in. There's people who just aren't happy. And there are going to be people who just don't pay for taxes. That's just the reality of where we're at. So I think one of the things is if we decide to go forward that, and that's part of why we're asking, because we know it's going to create a big push on all of our parts. And we have to be careful. I have to be extremely careful. But we will get guidance as into what we can actually do and not do as a school district, because we can't be involved in certain parts of the politics. We can't tell them what to vote, but obviously we can give good talking points and just different things like that. So those are things that we're constantly looking at. And I know that would require, honestly, help from our unions, our associations, which I think we would get, because we've talked to them and they've been excited to think of the prospect, because most of them have been involved in helping us write the grants and being a part of a lot of this. So there's a lot of positive to it, but timing is everything. The other thing is we may go for it, we may not get it, and that's just, it's going to be a gamble on that. Or who knows, we may get surprised, because the feedback we're getting for the most part, like 99.9%, is thank you so much for being present during this whole time. Thank you so much for the food and the technology and the Wi-Fi and all those different pieces that the community is far more aware of Esparto Unified right now than just even given the current circumstances. And they know the need with the Wi-Fi and everything. They've experienced it. All right, Larry, see your hand up again.
Yeah. In this thing, because now we're basically committed to remote education, and when we come back, I'm expecting probably remote classroom type scenarios. Is that going to be included? Are we looking at that, how we're going to do this? Because if we're going to jump into the future, it's got to be now.
That would absolutely, if we were to do a bond, we would have to, that part of our bond had technology written into it. Of course, it's going to probably look a little different now that remember when what we started was a few months or before COVID-19. But now that we've experienced what we have, there's to me some great things coming out of this to know, wow, okay, here's a better way to look at the future. So I agree with you, Larry. We need to be looking at that, and that absolutely has to be part of the bond.
Yeah, because if we're looking at square foot build, if we do social distancing in our classrooms, we're pretty much going to double our size. So that's got to be taken into consideration. Otherwise, it's going to come back and bite us.
Oh yeah, well, even right now, if we were as it stands right now, how do you guys foresee that we would be able to do social distancing in our current classrooms?
I don't.
Not.
We wouldn't.
Well, and you know, and that's to the point of maybe going for the bond, because definitely, I mean, people do see the need that we do need a better Wi-Fi. We do need more hotspots. We do need more classrooms just to accommodate what we need to do.
That's a great thing, Tracy. I hadn't even thought about it that way. But you know, people are right now very well aware of how this is affecting schools. And here's the reality, I think we all know, if schools don't go back to operating, the economy does not go back to getting better, because people rely on schools for, and I don't mean that in a bad way when I say childcare. It's the reality. If you got two people working, you need childcare. You need, and you, of course, we want to educate our future. So to me, as much as we like distance learning, or there's a lot of perks to it, not every family can do that.
Right. Right. Well, I think, you know, more than ever, we have really good PR going on right now for the school. And I think we have that in our as an advantage right now. So I don't feel it's as scary a proposition as it might have been. I'm not so worried about the naysayers, because I think the people we're personally affecting families one-on-one right now, and I think that's a good point to remember. Most of those people who are coming out every day to get a lunch are also going to be voters. You know, the families that are benefiting from the food. So, or at least I hope they are.
Is there any other items you guys would like us to send you that could help you? And I feel bad because I know this is a heavy decision for you guys to make. It was heavy for us to even move forward with it. But there's so many things I keep looking at and thinking about, and especially in light of what our future is going to look like in education. And you know, I told Becky I spent all day today just trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out how would we do this given the current situation we're in. How could we actually do the social distancing, do half a school, do half of this or that? And so, you know, I think that is stuff we could talk about with the community when it comes to this, if we decide to go forward. Larry, I think your hand's up where you have a bird on your head. One of the two.
No, it's a bird. No, I have my hand up. Remember a few months ago when I was asking about the modern classrooms in schools in California that had it, and you have a list of them? Could we set up to where a board member or all the board members go to different ones, or maybe a committee of two goes to see these so we can get an eyes on as to what we're looking at?
I would say normally, in normal circumstances, absolutely. I don't know that we'd be able to do that before the board meeting because of the shelter in place. But what I can do is see if there's some virtual, we can see if there's any like virtual tours or virtual pictures. And I know that's not the same as visiting it, but with the shelter in place, I don't know that I can do that.
Well, because I've seen the videos of modern education, and the classrooms are very large with very few people in them. It's heavy on the electronic, and a lot of it is, I mean, it's like, even the way I was seeing it was, whether you're there or at your home, it's still the same thing. You have to get to your desk, turn on your computer, check in. That's your attendance, all the records kept, all that stuff. But the electronics and the space is where we're going to come up short.
I agree.
Yeah. I heard somebody was talking about split day, like half your school attends from 9 to 12, and another half of your school attends from 1 to 3 or 4, whatever it was. But and that way they can have half the number of kids in each classroom. So your squishing your day down to 3 or 4 hours.
Right, but what they're not thinking about is transportation, which half come
Oh
in,
yeah.
food. What
How does
are the, yeah, I just looked at them. I'm like, and who can disinfect that quickly in between
right,
with what they're saying would have to happen?
right, right. Well, I'm just thinking about like in the lab, like
Right.
you would have, how do you go through and clean computers and wipe down mouse pads and things? I don't know. It's a,
But
you know, how do you do it?
but I get you. Larry, I see your hand.
Well, one of the things Tracy was talking about, if we go down to a reduced day like that, it's going to go right back to what you were talking about before, where we are relied upon for childcare, and it's going to affect the parents. If it's like every other day, or it's like, they change morning. Okay, what are the kids going to do in the afternoon? So I'm not really for something like that, but
Yeah,
it's a
I
hard
agree.
decision.
I don't know. We don't know what it's going to look like. That's just it. That I think people are throwing out ideas and suggestions, but I don't know. We don't, that's the hard part about moving forward on anything.
Exactly.
But we do know we need the space. That's the only given, is that we don't have the space to do any of that. So we have to make it. We will. I think maybe we should move to discuss this again at the and decide at our next meeting. Let's make a decision at our next board meeting, and let us all just kind of mull on that and think about it, so that I don't know. It's and things are changing. It seems like a year every week. Like every week takes it's like, so I don't know. Everything might be changed in 2 weeks. Who knows?
Right.
So yeah, Larry, you're on mute. He's still on mute. You're on mute. Hands up.
Great. Now, what was I saying? Okay, going along with what were we talking about? Dang it.
Moving to the next meeting.
That's it. This is kind of on the topic, but it's off the topic. Are we ever going to be able to meet in person, like 6 feet apart?
We were actually just talking about that tonight ourselves, Becky and I, that we believe even if they don't list it, as long as the public, and what we can do is still have the public be able to participate remotely, but that way we don't have to gauge how, you know what I mean? Try to predict. I don't think we're going to have a huge entourage, but that way, again, people could participate virtually, but we could have the 5 of you in A7 with us. I think we could easily do that and be able to and have an actual physical conversation. We would prefer that. We knew something like this would be hard to do virtually. It's been so up and down with what the orders actually are and what they mean.
Right.
Good.
I'm in favor. I would show up. So if we want to work towards that, as long as we can let the public in remotely, we're still keeping it under 10, I think.
Right, we would, because principals could participate remotely. You would just have Netta, Becky, and I, and then you 5, so we'd be at 8. So I think we'd be okay, and then just provide a link so that people can participate, and we'll just have the devices in front of us so they could see us or whatever, for them, and being able to record it. And then that way they have an opportunity to have access to the meeting, and we have an opportunity to see each other, truly see each other face to face.
Yeah, because I think our work face-to-face is a lot better than what we're doing remote.
What are you saying?
I don't know. It's just not as personal. I don't know.
I agree.
You're looking right at my face. I don't know.
Well, I know, but you're what? Oh, I know you're down the street.
All right. Okay. Well, does anyone else have any other thing to say about this? About the bond measure? Okay. Seeing none other, I would do, we have a motion to move to closed session.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Never mind.
I had Larry first, and then I heard Bonnie second. I'll put that on there. All those in favor?
Aye.
I
Larry,
Aye.
Aye.
I got Bonnie, and I heard Ashley, and
Aye.
did I get Amanda?
Aye.
I got Amanda, and I said aye. So that was Ashley, Amanda, and Larry, and Bonnie, and myself saying aye. And we will adjourn at 6:31 and move to closed session.
And just a reminder, everyone, you're going to go ahead and click on the separate link for closed session. Make sure you close yourself completely out of this link. And I'm going to pause the recording. And then when we're done, I'll come back in. And if we have anything to report, I'll report it out in open session on this link.
Okay.
That sound good?
All right.
All right. See you in the next virtual room. Thank you, principals and staff, for being here.
Thank you, everyone. Okay.